What up, everybody? Thank you for tuning in. I thank everybody for listening. It means a lot to me. It lets me know that there's a lot of people out there trying to instill peace in their life, trying to be closer to God, those trying to eliminate baggage, trying to get away from toxic people. It means a lot to me. It lets me know that I'm not the only one out there that's trying to maintain my peace, trust, and believe. So, before I get into today's topic, I wanted to inform you all that I am giving away free 30-minute sessions for 10 people at random. And this promo is for the month of December of this year. So email me sfj.peace@gmail.com to be one of the chosen and put in the subject box freebie. Good luck. Also, like you all know, Your Money Matters, the downloadable document is out now. Go to my website, seriouslyfocusedjohnnie.com, get your copy. Okay, let's get into this episode. So today is a Q&A. It is called Haters Among Us. I got an email asking about my opinion on Shanquilla Robinson, and also a few people that I know asked me about my thoughts. I didn't want to talk about it right away, and I didn't want to go into it. I really didn't. And the reason being is that it was on my mind heavily. Like, I wake up, it's on my mind. I go to sleep, it's on my mind. I'm just doing other things, and then there's certain things that come to me about it. And I've been saying short prayers here and there. Okay, so I want to start off with this. There are people who will love you unconditionally. There are. So I don't want you all to feel like you're walking in this world and you can't trust anybody. There are people out there that will love you unconditionally. But then there are those that hate you for no reason. My cousin, rest in peace, she always said people don't have a reason to hate you. And I found this to be true. With these people, you have to do the following. Number one, stop listening to people who give you excuses for a hater's actions and then say something like, this person is harmless or they won't approach you. A person who has gotten hurt never thought they would get hurt, attacked, or assaulted. So, a person who tells you someone is harmless never knows the psychopath's next move. I'm going to repeat what I just said. A person who tells you someone is harmless never knows the psychopath's next move. Meaning that you have people that sit there and think that they know this person better than anybody else, but they don't know what goes on inside that person's mind and how they move and how much they would do to harm another person. Number two, question everybody's motives who wants you to be around a particular person that you know that is a hater. Meaning that you always have that one person that I would say sometimes is not spiritually strong and sometimes they're a hater. And sometimes this person will try to bring you in the room with other people or another person that you know is a hater. You have to question their motive. Because sometimes you have people that are lovers of drama. And you have to learn to identify that. And if you don't feel right about a situation, like someone says, oh, come with me here. Oh, that person ain't thinking about you. That person married with a whole heap of kids and this and that. They got other issues. They successful. Does not matter. You stay your behind home. Because a person could have everything in the world, but they still might have some kind of feelings towards you. And it's called hate. Number three, like I said, separate yourself. Don't go around a hater unless God tells you to. There may be a situation where you go somewhere and a hater shows up. And it's just that it just happened that way. The devil will always try to set you up, to put you in uncomfortable situations. You got to remove yourself. I've been there before. I've been there when I remember there was a person on attack mode and they was trying to find anything to attack me. And I felt it and I seen it. And at the time I had just got saved, so it was just like, okay, do I fight this person? Do I swing? Do I step off? What do I do? I didn't go to God and pray about it. What I did was I just separated myself because I said, I know my strength. And I know that when I was young, I used to take up boxing. And I know who I am. So I know if somebody put their hands on me, I'm going to fight them like my life depends on it. And it's no telling what's going to happen. So the best thing for me to do is stay my behind home. And that's exactly what I did. I don't put my trust in other people's hands. The only one that can protect me is God. When I tell you hate can turn to jealousy real quick, one of the things it can also do, when it turns to jealousy, it can birth demonic activities. So I was having a conversation with my niece. First, it started out with a friend of mine, and then sometime after an acquaintance, and then it trickled down where I was talking to my niece about it, and the Shaquilla Robinson story, and it left me heartbroken because my niece was busy on, she was on the internet and she was giving me information about what was going on and things like that, and she couldn't believe and stuff. And she said, at that point, it bothers her to listen to the story anymore because she gets angry. And I understand. And I said to my niece, I may be a lot of things, meaning I'm the type to carry a load. It's called the strength of a woman. Before the FBI put out a warrant out for those demonic people's arrests, I told her they need to be tried, convicted, and sentenced for murder in the area that the crime was committed. I said to her, I wouldn't have been able to sleep. And I can imagine what her family feels like. It's just like you're laying down and you don't have all the pieces of the puzzle together, but you know in your heart that your child went through hell. Your child went through hell. They wanted money, fame, and to embarrass her. But the only thing they gonna get is a mugshot for murdering her. And that's gonna be their fame, their mugshot. I woke up, I would say, earlier that week before, it was swarming over the media. And I woke up in the wee hours of the morning and I couldn't go back to sleep. And I said, what is going on that I am like literally up. And then what came to me is that there's a lot of people praying. It's like I felt a sense of, I don't know, it's like the prayer warriors was out. I can't explain to you what that feeling was. So I got up and I prayed. And I prayed. Let me tell you what I prayed about. Because just in case, maybe there's something you didn't pray about, if you did. I prayed that they get convicted. I pray that the family fighting for justice gets the strength to fight, because that fight is a lot and it's draining. It's very draining. You got to make sure people come back to you with the answers. You got to make sure you're strong to continue to fight, and for them to be extradited back to Mexico. The family is going to have the strength to go through with the whole case. Even look the enemies in the eyes. That's a lot. That's a lot. Because they killed a life. God gives you the date of birth and the date of death. But that's by God. They ended her life short. She could have been in place to uplift. They say she did kids hair. It could have went from one thing to another, where she do kids hair, and then she's educating kids, and she's uplifting teenagers, and opening a school, and doing a daycare, and helping out families trying to figure out. We don't know what her assignment was over short, because of the enemies, because of the act of jealousy, because of the act of envy, because of the act of hate. Her whole assignment was ended. And they cut her life short, and that was not what God had intended for her. Number three, I prayed that those we don't know about gets convicted. Meaning, I always tell people about spiritual warfare, like this, that number one, let there be no rest for the wicked. When people, they say that there's life and death, and there's power in the tongue. You don't know if someone close to her, someone around her, someone in her community, I would say, invoked harm towards her. You could have a person that is around her, a person that maybe could be jealous of her parents because her parents birthed a child that is rightfully going to be famous and carrying out her assignment. And that same person could be the one who did evil, wishful thinking over her life. And then it just so happens that these minions, the so-called friends that harbored a piece or feeling of hate in their chests, carried out the act of murder. You see where I'm going? So those minions get convicted, but then there was the person that did evil, wishful thinking over her life. So that's why I said those we don't know also get convicted, meaning let there be no rest for the wicked. So if their mind starts to go, if they start to go mad, so be it. Because, the saying, crabs in the barrel. So you have a person that's rising to the top, and then there's the crabs in the barrel. The crabs in the barrel didn't only have to be the so-called friends. It could have been other people too. We don't know to what extent this plan was carried out. We don't know how many people was involved outside of the others that was there doing whatever. We don't know that. We don't know that. But God knows that. God. And that's why I ask that He convict those we don't know about. And let there be no peace for the wicked. May there be no rest for the wicked, all those involved, even those we don't know about. In Jesus' name. And then the other thing that I talked about was, even if she would have fought back, and if she would have fought back, they would have jumped her. We don't know to what extent that fight took place, but I feel like that fight took place longer than we saw in those videos and that we assume. All I'm going to say is this. Based off of what I saw, what came to me is their days are numbered. Why? Because a lot of people are praying because it hit home. That could have been anybody's child, God forbid. They took her out of country just to destroy, embarrass, and murder her. So let me tell you exactly what I saw. I saw a girl laying on the ground, right? Standing over her was this guy. Now let me tell you, in real life, in a natural world, I know this guy he is very petty in a lot of things that he do. He talks a lot about people, and he sets people up for their failure, and he laughs at people's downfall. Now let's go back to the Shanquilla Robinson story. What I saw was him standing over a woman that was on the floor, and from her head down to her waist, she couldn't move. She couldn't move her neck, her head, her hands, nothing, right? But she was wiggling her legs, okay? And the guy said, he turned and said to someone, "What is wrong with her?" And he had a pen and a paper in his hand. So I went to today. I got up, got dressed, went to church, and I was on my way shopping. And in the parking lot, I started talking to myself, like literally, because I could recall what took place. I could recall what I saw. And I said, "Oh my God." And I said, "Oh my God. Oh my God." So I got back in the car and I started up the car. Don't ask me why. I think it was more because I was, I guess, a little nervous about what was coming to me. And when I turned on the car, immediately the GPS turned on, right? So I'm busy trying to shut off the radio, and which would turn off the GPS and everything else in the car. And then next thing you know, I said out loud that the person, there was someone who wasn't there who invoked harm to her. Yes, there was someone who wasn't there on that vacation who invoked harm over her life. And as soon as I said that out loud, it's like the whole car shut off. And I said, "Oh my God." So somebody wished evil over her life. She had a lot of enemies. And it wasn't just those that did the act. For a minute, she was alive. And she was trying to get the strength to move, but she couldn't. And the person standing over her had a pen and a paper. So that lets me know that this person was taking down notes on trying to get their story together. And as someone, when that guy turned to someone and said, "What's wrong with her?" So that means whatever answer they gave, they ran with it. Yeah. I say, yo, people is just wicked, 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 wicked. So that was one part of it. Then after I had that, after that came to me, what came to me was I saw a picture of the light skinned girl's face. I saw the name of the one beating her down. So I saw that person's name over her picture. And then I saw the acronyms of a security force that's going after them, right? And then what I saw in big bold letters, it said dead. That's what it said, dead. So when I was explaining to someone else, and we were talking about different things, what I said was, because I saw dead on a piece of paper, I saw the acronyms of a security force, I saw the face of the light skinned girl, but then I saw the name of the one beating her down. That could mean that it could mean many things, but what's important is dead. So they could either self-destruct, slowly killing themselves. They could go to jail and die. They could go to jail for life, get the key thrown away. Nobody goes to visit them. They get no mail, no nothing, and they can't speak the language, and it's just that they slowly rot in jail. Or they could go to jail and become suicidal. Or they, like I say, they self-destruct, where they just inflict harm on themselves. When the person asked me the question about what are my feelings about the whole situation, and I gave them a little bit of information. What they said was, it could be mental destruction. And that's part of self-destruct. They said mental destruction, meaning that their mind bothers them so much because they wish they could bring back the hands of time and never do what they did, but they did, and then they start to lose it and go crazy. Yeah, it's sad. It's sad because you just, when for little bits and pieces of the video that I did see, it's like, yo, you was beating her down, and then you just went back at her to beat her again when she was asleep, like, get up, let's fight. You was bold. I hope you keep that same energy when you get arrested, convicted for murder, and your whole life just flushes down the toilet. Keep that same energy. Keep that same energy. Because I tell you, I think I did a video one day about how the enemy's bold when they doing stuff. But when they see God working on your behalf, ooh, you see how the coward they get. And that's exactly how my enemy is. My enemy was bold when she was attacking me. And I say she because I know who she is. It's one thing if you don't know who your enemy is. I know who my enemy is. God came to me and told me who my enemy is. And then my enemy tried to stop my prayer life. And I'm going to tell you when I tell you. So she would do things on certain days. I'm going to just tell you little bits and pieces. She would do things on certain days. And these certain days, she was trying to attack me. And it was to the point where one time it was like, who do you pray to? So I said, my father. So she thought it was my father, like my biological father. No, sorry. It was who helps you. And I said, my father. So she thought it was my biological father. I was talking about my heavenly father. So she went on a rampage with that one. And I jumped out my sleep, flew out the bed, and got busy in prayer. Busy in prayer. Busy, meaning I prayed so hard that I couldn't even really do much the next day because I was tired. You know, me and some of my family members, we may not have the best relationships, and I'll put that out there. You know, me and my father, we argue like cats and dogs. We argue sometimes. We look just alike. We go at it. But don't come for my family, yo. Don't do that. Don't do that. Don't come for none of my friends that I care about. Don't come for my family that's trying to do good in this world. Because if I get an email that comes across to me saying such and such and such and this and this and that, and I pray about them, and yeah. Don't go after none of my family members. Don't go after none of my friends. Don't go after none of the babies that can't do for themselves. You're going to have a problem. I'm going to pray that God rain fire on you and put you in the pit of hell. Don't do that. Don't you dare do that. So when I saw that I saw in my dream, I was praying, and and some of my dreams is on point where I wake up and exactly what I saw is exactly what happens. I said, yo, when I finally felt at peace, she got scared. And then God told me that there was other people working with her because she done went to them with a lie. Some of them she went to with a lie. She went to a witch or a wizard or a sorcerer or whoever and tried to do some things to me. Okay. And that person saw that what she was saying was a lie. And I said, and I hope that person sees the fact that the reason why I don't want to be friends with her is because she's crazy. In the natural world, she's crazy. It's them demons inside of her, and it's so many of them. So many of them. She's married. She got kids. She wanna be like me. Because I don't want to be a part of her life, period, she tries to stop everything around me. She tries to stop my connections. She tries to stop my relationships. And I knew something was wrong because at one point when we were cool, I noticed that like if I have a date with someone, then all of a sudden one time she said to me, "Oh, he's not going to call and he's not going to show." And I looked at her and I was just like, "You don't even know him." And then just like that, he didn't call the show. And then I said, "Something's wrong with that situation right there. Something is wrong with it." And then she side-eyed me. And she didn't even realize she side-eyed me. And that's when I said, I'm gonna stop hanging with her. Because I don't like that. Don't side-eye me. You don't even know me. Then when I tried to separate, she tried to hit me up on social media, different names and addresses and wanting to do business with me. Then she tried to follow me down the street like a stalker. Yeah. And the intent, what God said, was she was trying to make me scared. But I wasn't scared. It was just like, why you following me? You sick. You a psychopath. You got deep rooted issues. You trying to be me for what reason? Like, do you? And then, here's the kicker. She wasn't acting alone. So there's always sometimes a person behind that person that throws fuel to the fire to get things started. And the person behind her was the guy. She showed him where to go to get things done. And he went and then he just added fuel to the fire. I mean, he's been doing things all along. But the things that escalated was her. I don't trust neither one of them. I don't like neither one of them. But I know they working together. So that's why sometimes when people pray for situations and they say, "Oh, I'm going to pray about my enemies," and then they pray about the ones that they do know about, and they realize their situation hasn't changed, it's because sometimes there's people that you don't know about that's your enemy. And that person could be the person smiling in your face. It's called two-faced. Yes. Yes. You got to be careful who you're around. And if you have a person that's around you that care about you enough, they won't put you in harm's way. They will treat you how they would treat themselves and not be in harm's way. And know that your life matters. So, just to answer the question, go back to the Shanquilla Robinson story. I saw death. If you want to know more about snakes and enemies and stuff like that, go back to some of my earlier episodes. Some of them would be like words spoken over your life that sometimes you allow. Like a person would say something like, "You stupid," and you just sit there and take it. No. You got to rebuke that in the name of Jesus. Show me my enemies. That's another episode. Beware of the snakes. Loyalty towards the enemy. The final message for 2021. The first message for 2022. The Q&A. When are you a threat? The Q&A, 6 cents. The message, the setup. The message, enemies are hideous loonies, are torturing and laughing. The Q&A, fruitless friends. And the other message, the joker is not smiling. And I believe that same person that was going to laugh at her whole downfall and everything else like that, because now they know their life is on the line. Ain't nothing funny no more. Nothing funny no more. This is serious time. All they got to do is turn themselves in and serve their time. Which is going to be for the rest of their life. They're going to have to sit back, eat that bullet, and think about the nonsense that they did. Because they took an innocent person's life. Regardless of how you felt about her, they took an innocent person's life. These people had the opportunity to do things, and you could see it. Like they wanted to be her. They could have did whatever they wanted in life. They could have worked at McDonald's and became a manager. They could have worked at the airport and became a manager. What I want to say to them is, you wanted her life. And God put her in position to do some things. You think God ain't coming for you? Yeah, alright. Good luck with that one. I want to see how this case plays out because I'm not done praying yet. Trust me. Yep. Isaiah 48:22. There is no peace for the wicked, says the Lord. Let there be no peace for all those people that hurt that innocent person. Shanquilla Robinson. Let there be no peace for the wicked that took that innocent child away from from her family. Let there be no peace for the wicked, for all those trying to run around and play innocent when they had a part to play in her downfall, whether it be evil, wishful thinking, or words spoken over her life, words spoken over her family's life, words spoken over her mother and father's life, words spoken over that case, gossip. That's not even true. Let there be no peace for the wicked. In Jesus' mighty name. Everybody have a blessed week. Check me out on YouTube, like, subscribe, click the notifications. I thank you humbly for tuning in. The downloadable document, like I said, is out. Go to my website, seriouslyfocusedjohnnie.com. Check out my store and sign up for a 30-minute session. Go email me. I'm choosing 10 people for the month of December, and put in the subject box freebie. And good luck. Have a blessed week. Stay prayed up. Later.